what to write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just this gown? I don't know.
Great sounds Watts without sound on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. Easy, you are better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
On a day like today, I find it amazing that it is Wouter that comes from the introduction of this show, because due to the connection I have with the amazing Wouter, there was this calling. Several Januaries ago, there was a calling to find land in space, and we tried to find land in space while we were in the Hamden area. And there, Shane Penguin got the honor to share the stage with some phenomenal artists. One, bringing the fun, bringing the new school feel with an old school kick, and that party vibe that is sometimes missing in the mainstream of the hippity hoppity. There was this amazing man who got the crowd moving, understood that a show and an MC is more than just a lyricist. And for that, we give him 1,000 million thank yous. But today, we are honored, we are blessed, and honestly, we're just all having a good time. I want to thank the amazing Klokwise for being here today. So I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, keep them at 10 and 2. No accidents, okay? But mentally put your hands together for my brother from another mother, my sister from another mister, my homie, Klokwise.
I'm speechless because that was so fancy. God bless you. Brother, easy. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Press.
Amen. No, but see, that's the thing is one, getting into understanding you as an artist before even meeting you. You have this incredible feel where it does give me that almost Arrested Development, message with a nice danceable beat type of feel to it and a good time. Now, was that something that you consciously decided, or for those who know you, is this just really a part of your personality that has bubbled through the music?
I think like that was what I was drawn to Daisy Age, like and Soulquarians, which is like sort of like the second wave of that in the 90s, 2000s. And so like I was more drawn to that early on. So I don't think I made a conscious decision like this is a brand that I can, get in the lane of and like use as a vehicle. I really like was drawn to that stuff and just the diversity of the flows. On like a Tribe Called Quest or Arrested Development is such an honor to even be compared to Mr. Wendell, Everyday People. I mean, yeah, that's the stuff I was drawn to. And then I did get into West Coast rap as I got older, which was obviously it's like a hard edge. And it was a life that was a little different. And I got to work with a lot of those guys too, which is great. But my initial stuff, like the first bunch of albums I bought were like Low End Theory, KRS-One, just that kind of stuff, like early on. DJ Muggs, compilations. I liked Handsome Boy Modeling School. It's like Prince Paul is very counterculture. I loved Everlast where he was singing and the production was really like authentic. And so, like all that kind of stuff. And so, I guess it's organic in an answer to your question. It was definitely like where I felt like I grew up, I grew up in the city, but I didn't grow up with like the most traumatic childhood or anything. So it was probably more where I could relate to, I could say something like this. I could add my little 2 cents to this, my little contribution to it.
You grew up a fan.
Well, see, that's one of the most important things is because that's the difference between, something that is real and something that isn't, but it's also really the difference of someone who's picking a genre to maximize, likes and viewing instead of highlighting themselves and, as I say, bleed all over the track. And you can bleed all over the track positively as well. It doesn't all have to be the sad, miserable stuff. But when you have that beautiful balance, it's incredible. And that's one of the things I truly, truly wanted to highlight of you. And I love how you kind of segued into, you worked with some of the people on the West Coast. This interview is happening because of a transaction that happened upon the Book of Face,
Oh
where
yeah.
I had mentioned I was listening to the Nipsey Hussle book, which is amazing. And for everyone who just wants a book, whether you like the music industry, hate the music industry, or anything, just pick up this book. You need to hear it. It is absolutely important, and I learned so much from it. So I made a post on Facebook, and Clock jumps on there and is like, "Yeah, I was studio neighbors with him, and he showed me his book collection. So now, for my own personal gratification, what books was he reading? I need to know because I listen to books all day long, bro.
Yeah.
I need to
So
learn. I need to grow."
So I'll give you the whole story, and it's funny because this hasn't actually ever been come up in an interview specifically, but like,
Yes.
so Uncle Dave that I worked with out there that produced Permission to Land, which is my album I did in California, and it's got DJ Quick on it, it's got Sugar Free on it. Check it out if you haven't checked it out. But while I was doing that, I'm in North Hollywood, and Uncle Dave had also worked on Nipsey's album, and he knew Mike and Keys and all the guys doing that. So I would literally just come in and get dropped off in my Uber in North Hollywood, and they, punch the gate open, and Nipsey was, in the studio here, and sometimes, my guy Mars and all T.I.'s people were in the other studio. I got to meet T.I., and I'm like, there's pictures of all this somewhere that Uncle Dave said there was a photographer there. We're trying to track the pictures down. But yeah, like it was really cool. Like I would just pull up and they would all call me Patrick, and
Right.
there was one day that was really quiet. He was doing the Marathon Mondays at that point. And, like I obviously was a big fan of Nip, and I knew about him selling his albums for like, the $1,000 and $10,000 albums. And like, I've seen him on Smack DVDs when I was a kid. So it's very cool. But like, we didn't think about the impact that it would, obviously his passing was so terrible. I don't think I thought about the impact of like, what this guy was doing for the consciousness and for the community. And like he definitely wasn't somebody that I found shady or intimidating, or he was a really open person, and he called me Patrick. But one day it was quiet and everyone had gone to lunch or something, and he was reading, I think it's called the 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. Yeah, or something, or 44, it's the Immutable Laws of Branding. And nobody else was in the studio, and I'm just sitting there on the couch, Uncle Dave sitting there. It's just very quiet. Everyone's kind of fried from like partying all day and recording. And he just goes, "Hey, so this is what I'm reading. It's the 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. So it says here, da da da." And he starts going through, and then he's telling me, "Oh, well, that's why I didn't take the deal with Rick Ross. They offered me to sign at Maybach Music, but I wanted ownership, so I didn't take this deal." And then he's going through and he's going, "This is why I do this, because of the owner." And I really had like a experience in that I think people probably have in their dreams when they're asleep or something, or think about on a blog. And it's one of those things where I didn't know at the time how special and how epic that would be. And then within a year or two of that, I was back in Connecticut at the time, and obviously we all got the news, and I texted everybody, and I was getting moment to moment updates, and like, you just wish someone like that could have kept going and kept publishing and see like where they would end up. But yeah, he was a beautiful person.
No, definitely. And what's incredible is for those who actually really know the story and are music historians like me, because I have absolutely no life and music is 100% everything I do, exist for, and breathe with. Nipsey was able to do what Sam Cooke started out doing. And it is really is that chapter. So, and the fact that he took time to invest, they say, "Oh, the game knows game appreciates game," but he was able to spin this branding stuff, which is so super important when you're doing anything. He blessed you with that knowledge that you're putting into work, and now continuing and blessing other people. As per you've had that conversation with me, as per we've had that conversation with others about how to go things. I remember sitting there and going, thinking that going on stage with the stuffed penguin was going to be just a super weird thing, and you're like, nope, that's exactly what you need to do, because no matter what, that's what you're going to mention. They might not remember the song that you played, but the fact that you came out there with the stuffed penguin, someone's going to talk about it.
Oh
And that
yeah.
is just so super important.
I still
Now,
have the penguin down in my shelf right here, and that's a show that my friends will talk
Mhm.
about. Of all the shows that I've dragged people to, the Penguin Guys is like an highlight, and that's so. Isn't that the
Right.
goal? Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And that is the whole point and the whole goal. Now we know that you've got the new record coming out. What are those type of moments? You know, what lessons have you taken from the past that are you retelling in
I
this
will
new
say,
future
like,
project?
Nip definitely came up in mind doing this because my main thing that I took from watching him and just from like growing a little older and becoming a little more like lived in who you are, it's to trust yourself. And if you feel a certain direction or you think you're speaking for a certain audience and you believe that there's a connection there, that's what you should follow. So I think I've definitely had times in my life where I'm trying to pay bills or I'm trying to get my mom a house or trying to do this and that, and I don't mind taking a songwriting gig or a pop music
Mhm.
gig. But at this point, and what I learned from people like that was just to trust whatever inspiration I'm getting. And so I sort of had this new during the lockdown too, while I was home. I just had this like whole new voice. I felt like that I found like my voice again is in like a new way. So this one is very much like classic sound to what you would want from a Clockwise album, but it's a little more singing, and that's cool, and I
Okay.
put out the singles, and I was worried like Standing There is a jazz singing kind of like
Hmm.
fun funky record. Voicemail that I put out, which was about getting into sobriety and what it was like to quit drinking and stuff. That song is very, has done very well, and it's all singing. There's not actually a rap part on it at all. And a lot of people haven't noticed specifically, and I guess that's a good thing because it's like I'm finding the center of what Clockwise records always were, but maybe I'm doing something different with it. And so that's fun. I'm like having a lot of fun again, and which is the key element I think that we lose sometimes.
Well, and that's the one thing that I try to talk to people as much as possible, especially like newer musicians that are just starting to get out there. And that's what I love about like working a door for shows is you get to see them at the first aspect. And I always say, go out there and have fun. It's called playing music for a reason because you should play. And it is that backyard. It is that. How many times I sat hours upon hours with a hairbrush screaming
Yeah.
lyrics, whether it be LL Cool J or Twisted Sister,
Mhm.
into a microphone, studying the way my arm moves, the way the jaw looks, because you never know when that one picture is gonna happen, you know.
Isn't that
And I
addicting?
it's so addicting, and I hope there's people taking notes right now going, "All right, well, we don't wanna ever do that because we don't that's cool because it's not for everybody, and it can drive a lot of people crazy." I know, I've been there.
No, it's addicting though because I'm like now, I'm in my 30s and I'm just not feeling any less of that energy of like it's almost like a gamble that you take every day, and that's exciting, and like the almost the like anything could happen is exciting. So like I love when you go out there and you have a good day or you win the fight and you earn a fan, and just any of that
Yeah.
organicness is like it's addicting.
It's so cool, and also really good when those that are starting out appreciate every one of those moments. That's one of the things
Mhm.
that we started doing on SP's page. Anytime I see there's a new country that someone has listened, whether it be one listen or 1,000 listens, one listen, we post about it in our stories and we thank them
Mhm.
for it because every listener, I love every single listener. And the fact that this person who's never met me before took 3 minutes out of their day and
Mhm.
just to hang out with me is so flippin' dope. And I just want them to know, the audience to know how much we appreciate that as an artist. I never want to be that person sitting in that house that stones can't reach. Like, nah, dude,
Mhm.
come talk to me. Give me a dap. Ask for a hug. Don't just come up and give me a hug because some people might jump up. I might get scared. Someone got popped in the jaw, and then we got lawsuits. We
I
don't need
give everyone
lawsuits.
high fives of all all types of folks every time I even give everyone high fives. That's just my new thing.
But see, this is one of the most incredible things, and also what I really do love about you and your performance as well is hip hop has gotten such a trash reputation for live shows because one or two people have stepped outside of whatever and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, nothing is new. You have these same type of things that happen at other types of shows as well. It's just hip hop got the short end of the stick there. So it became very technical and became very lyric based. But your stuff, I'm loving the fact that it also is very performance based. You have that party type of vibe. How do you maintain that, especially in dealing with a lockdown, in dealing with the walk of sobriety? These are all things that can make people not want to party. And yet here you are telling everybody how much you high five and love them.
Well, it sort of goes to what you were saying before, which is that if anybody goes through the trouble of like GPSing a place that maybe they've never been before, maybe it's in a neighborhood they don't know much about, and they have to find parking, and maybe they're feeding a meter, or they're going through traffic, they have to find a doorway to a club maybe they've never been before. Like, I know what that's like. When I'm not performing, I'm going out as a fan every other night of the week. And so like I feel the same way you do, where if anybody has gone through that to show up to a show, I'd be an idiot to not want to engage with them and let them talk about, if they came here and they want to talk about music that I'm making, then my job is to just talk to them about it. You know what I mean? Otherwise I'd be a fool, like, because I know what that's like. And so it's hard for me to not play a show at full speed. And I can't think of a lot of days where I haven't. There's not many shows where I drive away and I go, I phoned that one in. It just doesn't, because I'm not so separated from, my shows are not all Live Nation and Ticketmaster, and I'm not charging people, their whole rent money to like come see my show. I'm not filling a theater that is a football field. Like, I'm not selling backpacks and binders of the tour. Like, I'm not so separated from. I know what it's like to drive work all day, and then at 7 o'clock decide you are going to go support somebody's show. And so that's beautiful. And it's hard for me to not feed off that and to not give a 10. And so, it's nice to not be too separate from anything else.
And for all those that know, I mean, go back through the annals of our history together. We played for children for an art show in the middle of a road. Like, I thought we were going to get run over.
This was actually a great show, and that's like a mitzvah, right? Where there's some things you do for inspiration, some things you do for money, some things you do for a good deed, or hopefully. And that's one that it's like you're never going to hit all three on the triangle. But it's so nice I left that show feeling so good. We played on the middle of like a parking lot in a road, and everyone in Westport, Connecticut drove by, and a little girl I don't know if you remember this, a little girl drew me a picture with crayons of, just a beautiful scene, and it's on my fridge. I mean, like, I don't have kids, so like this little tiny girl that should have been afraid of just rap music and all this stuff came up and drew me this picture, and it was just like, that's valid. That's just like, gosh, that you got to take that one and put it inside of your heart. That's valid.
No, but that's the key. And when you come out of, you and I, we've never stopped being fans. And that's really what it comes down to. That's where the passion comes from. When that needle drops on that record, no matter how many times we've heard it before, if it speaks to your heart, and that's where we want to come from, because that's what drew us in. That's what kept us here when all the darkness was as dark as it was, and neither one of us pretend that darkness was dark, and it was not anywhere we wanted to ever really be ever again. Music was there to shine the light and to help elevate, and it's our job now to continue that. Like we said before, you had the conversation with Nipsey, and now it's your job to continue to have that conversation with the next and the next and the next, because we say it on the show all the time. We die 2 deaths.
Yeah.
When our physical body gives up, and when the last person that's ever met us can tell our story dies. So to sit here and push for immortality, but not immortality for ourselves, but for this amazing thing called music, it's just finding our piece of the song. And it's been an honor to be, dancing around this song with you as long as we
Oh,
have. So
same. We're from
yeah,
the same cloth, and like we're like, we're having fun in the sandbox, like you said.
yeah.
Like, what the heck's the point if we're not, otherwise I guess if you all you care about is money, you can go be a stockbroker or something. But if you want to have fun in the sandbox, that's it. I'll add to your quote. I'll give you the Ian Fleming quote, which is that you only live twice, once when you're born and once when you look death in the face.
Oh,
And so I'll add that to your
I
only
like that one. I like that one. Ooh, that was good.
I think about that a lot because for me, this is all about courage. Like, it's
Right.
funny that people say like the positive word is something that comes up a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it probably comes up for you too. But it's more just like I'm addicted to not like dying
Right.
career wise. I'm addicted to not like letting anybody else define who they think I am or what I'm supposed to be able to do or who I'm supposed to talk for or speak for. Or there's people that go with trends, and if you stay the same, it's funny that the trends come back around because now like retro is in and
Mm-hmm.
the 2000s are in,
Yeah.
and that's all the stuff I'm living it in with my music. And so like I'm just addicted to being like resilient and to defining it for yourself. And so that's what I hope artists do is like there's always going to be challenges, there's always going to be people that want you out of the way. With anyone that's doing anything successful or popular. So that's what keeps me going is I'm like I'm gonna decide when I made enough albums.
Right. No, but that is the key because you really have to have that aspect. Yes, money wise and all that kind of stuff. But when you're
Yeah.
out there and you're creating art, you should be evoking emotion, and really that emotion starts here. Like if I'm not making myself feel a certain type of way, and I kind of do it where it's a game because I come from the Tom Waits school of songwriting where I want beautiful melodies to tell me terrible things.
Mm.
So what you might think is one of the happiest songs in the world coming from the Shane Penguin camp because it's got that good Tom drive and you want to dance to it. I'm probably saying some things that are absolutely like heart-wrenching because I can and because that is going to make someone think a little bit more, and that's also going to take the negative connotation. I'll spend many a nights, and for the longest time I would have trouble getting out of bed because the darkness was so much.
Mhm.
Then the minute I started putting in melody to that darkness was the minute I could start walking again. And I think that I try to bring that forth for everybody else as well, but that's just me.
I've seen your show many times and it is very powerful. And you have stuff in there that I feel like is zooming out to like look at society too and to
Mhm.
look at the country. And it's very powerful. People should go see it. It's moving. So I'm glad you guys are gonna do a new set of shows and stuff.
Yeah, man, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Although we're still keeping that one song with that break in there for the next time we do a show together, and then
Yep.
we definitely do some collab stuff on there. But
See.
enough of us. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about this album and jumping into that new world. I'm also going to say because I don't know where we're at time wise, but I am going to say that we're doing this on WNHH 103.5 FM, New Haven, WNHH. We are
Too
here
early.
today,
Too early.
and now we are back
Too
here.
early. Too
Oh,
early.
I'm
Too early.
sorry. I'm sorry. I
Too
wasn't
early,
sure.
sir.
I got lost.
Too
We were
early.
talking.
You jumped the gun. You're a little bit too early, but it's okay. I'm here to bring you back in.
I'm sorry. I
Know
just
your
didn't want
clock
to make a
and
mistake.
be wise. Okay, know your clock and be wise. All right. It's a
Oh,
little bit too early, sir.
man.
That
And
was
I'm gonna
so
be late
good.
all the time.
But
Jesus.
this new record, where is the true inspiration that comes from it? Was it a whole bunch of different experiences, or was it really just the experimentation of sound?
I think for me, it does always start with the lyrics. And the music has to be adventurous and exciting, and it has to match, you know what I mean, what the intensity is. But I did just start writing these songs. Like, I find that even like yesterday, I was with Tank Sauce from the Backpack, who's like a really big artist out here too. And like he started showing me stuff he was listening to, and it was like British rock and it was like Oasis kind of stuff. And here's a guy who's a break dancer and a rapper and a singer. And that's not necessarily what you think he was listening to. So like I started to let myself be a little more free in the pandemic. And it was a fun challenge for the day would be to work on something on the piano. I make a lot of the beats, or I at least start the demos and then people help me with it. But I would like sit and play my little piano loop or something, and I would just try to pour my heart out, and I would just try to sing something that was meaningful. And like, I had a huge breakup right before the pandemic. I moved back from California. A lot of what I was doing in the music industry I could do here, but the major label system wasn't. I sat in all these meetings where the major label system didn't really get what I was presenting. And there's a period of like, you said, like darkness. There's a period of like take to the bed. That's my mom says. My Irish mother says she has to take to the bed for many things. So, and then out of that, boom, we're in lockdown. And I'm realizing stuff isn't all bad. And I'm realizing I need to be therapized. And I'm realizing I need to untangle how I'm coloring things and how I'm seeing things in my head. And what lens I'm putting on everything, and digging out was what this album was. And some of it is melancholy, some of it is very like life affirming. Singing was where it needed to be. Like I wasn't exactly angry, I wasn't exactly ready to party, I was somewhere in the middle. And like I'm really proud of these songs. And then I would send them into I have a couple of guys that are my vocal engineers that will do like mixing and mastering and, whatever tuning and effects. And the response I got from sitting in my house, mostly starting all these records during the pandemic and right after, and just being very in my house in my pajamas. And the response I got was like, Clock, this is the best stuff ever. We're putting this out. Like everyone's gonna work on this.
That's the same reaction we hear on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City Made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. Klokwise, continue.
Yeah. So shout out, and that's what you want. But you want to get that reaction, right, from anything you do. So it was nice because I've had people tell me behind the scenes, I'm not super famous where people are just telling me what I want to hear. I have dudes that'll tell me like that's not you or like that's corny, right. And I'm trying to be the non-corny committee at all times, right? So it was nice to take a risk. So that's really the point of the story for artists, is to take a risk and to, put your heart into it. I think everything there is really meaningful.
No, it definitely is. And I love how you pointed out, you've also been through the aspect of sitting in the major label, conversations. You stood by yourself. You stood with yourself while you're doing that. And that's super important. Look, there are those opportunities where people could say, hey, if you spin it this way or you do it this way, we will this. There's a phenomenal singer, became Vitamin C. She used to be in Eve's Plum. But she wound up getting a full makeover, including augmentation, just to become Vitamin C. But then in Vitamin C's second record, it was no longer the industry nonsense that was being spewed out. She was going back to the stuff that she was talking about with Eve's Plum, which was still good. So there is a give and take in this industry. You just have to know how much of yourself you're going to give. I have also sat in the industry things, and I've been told, on certain singing competitions, you have a Blues Brothers tattoo. Show up in Chicago with in full Blues Brothers gear, and we'll push you to the top 25. And I'm like, or not. How about we don't do that? How about you just? Isn't my voice good enough? They're like, your voice is great, but your look is garbage. And I'm like, well, I like pizza, so bite me.
I had one guy, I was going around, God bless DJ who was a mentor, and Uncle Dave, and I still work with them. And actually, Uncle Dave produced 2 records on this album that are amazing. and I have JP Cali Smooth on there, who's super big West Coast rapper. So like a lot of those connections are still working with me for the love of it, and they're in play. But I had one meeting with one label. We sat in, and the guy just goes, "But why don't you have 20,000 followers?" Yeah. And I'm going, "No, my numbers are pretty good." But I'm going, "I'm from Connecticut. There's not 20,000 indie rap, lo-fi hits in Connecticut to go find." All of them I found. I had like 6,000 to 7,000 followers at this point, and I just landed in LA. And I'm like, all of the people on the Eastern Seaboard that like this kind of music, I have found. I promise you. That's how I got to 6,000 or 7,000. And he goes, "But I just don't get it. You don't have 20,000 followers."
Yeah.
And so there's certain times where you're like, okay, cult following. Okay, people show up for me. Getting invited to be in the Backpack, which is this like super group thing I do with a bunch of big regional rappers, and we do like live shows and festivals and stuff. That was like a huge blessing. That like it's not the one that I pictured, right? But now I'm playing like these huge shows, big stages, and like so you have to take the ego out of it and be like, okay, like there's still a lot to accomplish. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of people that want me to deliver art to them,
right?
And that's fun, like, because there's people that really are always a cult following. Like that's exciting to me. Like I have artists that I like that were always going to be cult following.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, and it's so super interesting because like I have the conversation, with my kids. I've got freshmen in high school, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, you're famous." I was like, "I'm not. I'm literally just your dad. Like, let's." He's like, "No, but we're gonna go walking down New Haven, and people go like, yeah, but it's not because I'm not. Like, I'm just as I tell people, I'm just a humble penguin. That's all I will ever be. But there is the reality of these are the truer connections. These are the things that like matter. Yeah, of course, both Klokwise and I are long for the day where we have 20 million people spinning our records all at the same time, because looking down at your Spotify artist when that moment happens, I'm sure it's got to be one of the happiest moments in your time. Because I know that when I look down and one person is there, my heart is filled with joy. So I can't wait to look down when there's 20 million people there. That being said, I also make sure that I push the art and continue to evolve as an artist to earn that 20 million. I don't want anything given to me. I want you to actually like my stuff. If you're here to be a yes person, see ya. But that's just me. I have a little bit of an attitude problem.
I'm with you, and I feel like progress is good too. So like if you're an artist, I noticed that if I'm playing shows and I'm out in my little Jeep driving around New England mostly, and I do a lot of shows a year, like you do, pull up. Like Easy said, there's times I don't even charge people. I'll just pull up to your school opening or your state fair or the blood drive, and I'll start rocking my set. And like I go out so many days a year, and I notice on the bar graph on Spotify that the months that I'm out touring or on the road doing these shows, the bar is way higher than the months that I sat at home. Yeah. And so do I think there's some still things that are not broken that still work? Yeah, like going out and doing that makes a big difference. And then people feel like they met you. Like I'm telling that story about Nipsey, and Nip, God rest his soul, but he might not have even remembered reading that book to me. You know what I mean? Right. But for me, it's a story I'll always tell. And like, so how can that be? That's not broken. Right. You can go accomplish that at the any bar you're playing at or whatever. So
yeah, no, exactly. Speaking of places that you've played, and you've played all over the place. I know that Preston loves to ask the question, what's your 5 favorite venues that you've played?
Like ever?
Yeah, like ever.
Wow. Let's see. I got to play the Bitter End in Manhattan, which is like a really famous one. Lady Gaga used to play there when she was in college. All sorts of big, I think the Beatles were there, everybody. So I had a really successful couple dates at the Bitter End when my first album came out. That was awesome. I got to play Vans Warped Tour. I was on the side stage, so like the big act would end, which was usually Mac Lethal for me. And so Mac Lethal, he did "I'm Making Pancakes," that guy. And so he would end. And the minute his last note hits, you have to start the side stage. And it's for crowd control and it can get trampled and stuff. So Warped Tour is a good experience, but I love New Haven. I love Stella Blues. I love Cafe 9. I would say New Haven as a whole. There was a place in Hartford called Sully's Pub, if anybody remembers, and that was
I
really
remember Sully's
beautiful.
Pump. Yeah.
Yeah, Sully's Pub
Okay.
was like the CBGBs, and it could be punk rock, or it could be hip hop, or it could be reggae, and
Mhm.
it was just so alive. And so now I sound like an OG because I'm talking about a place that's closed. But rest in peace to Sully's Pub. And I'd like to play in the observatory in Santa Ana in the OC. That got a lot of love out there. I played the OC on Quick Store, and I was a 2000 kid, so I got off the thing and I'm going, California, California. It's the OC, guys, for anyone that's not old like
Yeah.
me. To land in that town and go play a show there was like that was a really cool experience for young me.
That's awesome. I also love how the fact that their drummer is Jason Schwartz, one of the premier actors, and someone who was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So
Oh yeah, I love
yeah,
Scott Pilgrim. Oh,
yeah, so good. I can't wait for the cartoon.
mhm.
It's gonna be dope. But okay, all right, we're fanning out again. Um, but that's what's so super important. Like, we are also people who dive into the culture aspect of it, but the different art aspects of the culture as well. I'm as influenced by Chuck D as I am by Bob Dylan. I'm as influenced, by Marvel as I am, by Shakespeare. And I think that is one of those things that as you move forward, you're there. What art right now is influencing you the most?
So this is gonna be funny, but I'm on a really weird 70s and 80s film kick. And
Okay.
it's all like B films, like Charles Bronson is really what I'm on right now this month. I have watched almost all the Charles Bronson output from the 70s and the 80s, and then that goes like really bad, cheesy, action films like the John Woo to like Timothy Dalton James Bonds, Roger Moore
Hmm.
James Bonds, Steven Seagal. I'm sort of on a kick right now with that stuff, but there's a big morality play to it, and there's excess, and they're very colorful. And what I've really been noticing is that the leading men in these leading people of all types, but somebody like Charles Bronson is not with the beauty standard of today. And as I get a little older too, he makes me feel excited because he's like 55, 60, and he's out here doing Death Wish, and
Yeah.
he can give you the mean mug to the camera, and it makes me feel excited to like go into that phase of my life. So I
Right.
think you always need new heroes. So I would say that's what I've been on lately is like how do I apply that kind of colorfulness and the excess to videos and stuff like that. So I've some really campy music videos for the new album that we're finished.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm looking forward to
We've got like
that.
alien invasions in them. We did like a '60s camp one too. So that's what I've been having fun with is B movies. There you go.
Right. But no, but it's so super important because I go through those phases as well where I need to start like looking at some B movies and just the complete total ridiculousness of it all. Especially like I like reconnected with the Fast and the Furious franchise, not
I
because they're
just did
good
that.
movies, because they're fun, because it's funny, because it's ridiculous, because you're not supposed to drive a car off of a building through another building and crash into another building and live. That's not
Yeah.
real, So
It's a
enjoy
blast,
it.
and the surrealism is big. Like that's I just
Yeah,
watched all those recently as well, and I had not ever seen past maybe four or five.
right. Yeah.
And God, the new one with Jason Momoa was a blast. And
Jason Momoa
yeah,
is
but
just
the
incredible.
surrealism is a key. The surrealism is in the Bond world or any of those movies
Right.
as well. It's like yeah, like you said, it's art in a gonzo surrealism way.
Yeah.
That's the point. But I think what you can take out of that, what I've been taking out of that as an artist is like I said, being irrepressible and being unkillable
Right.
and not seeking revenge, but seeking to move forward. These are things you get out of those movies.
No, it's true. It is that amazing code, and it's stuff that you can get from almost everywhere, and that's why being an artist, it is so super important to keep yourself open to find that voice, to find that aspect. There's so many movies I would walk out of. I remember walking out of
Which one?
uh I'm getting
TikTok,
movie.
TikTok, TikTok.
Brad Pitt, Dustin Hoffman, movie where Hoffman was a lawyer. Brad Pitt was also the lawyer. They, as kids, they went to a correctional facility, and they were inappropriately touched and whatnot and abused by the instructors. And then two of them wound up killing Kevin Bacon.
I saw that movie.
Sleepers.
Yep. Saw that.
So,
Billy Crudup's in it. It's a good
yep.
movie.
So I walked out of Sleepers and I wrote what people are going to be hearing as scenes from a delicatessen.
It's big, gives you the colors for the day.
Exactly. Or sitting in any given Sunday and, writing, poetry for like Father Hunger or different type of aspects. It's so super important. And when you stimulate your artistic self and you just surround yourself with art and people who are artistic, you're going to get these more vibes. Like, put Clock and I in a room together for 45 minutes or an hour. We'll have 3 albums probably written. It might, the 2 of them will be good. One of them is going to be absolutely amazing, but 2 of them are going to be good.
I love it. And nothing is on the cutting room floor.
Exactly.
You know what,
and we always need more snare in the head.
Exactly. Yeah, all that stuff you're talking about too is very earnest. Like all the art we're talking about is very earnest and it means it. You know what I mean? And society tends to look down on something that's not being sarcastic or it's not being allegorical or you're not being detached, and like everything in the 2020s is being very detached and like you're cooler than whatever. But the stuff we're talking about from back in the day, it's like they meant it and it was earnest. And I can't not write like that. That's the only way I know how to write. And like, so that's the other thing that is fun about music is like, it might be very, very vulnerable or whatever, but it's like, I'm not detached from it. I'm not commenting on something else. I'm really just being earnest and telling you my feelings. And that's gonna be a lot for some people. And that's what makes it exciting. Like, isn't it exciting when you hear somebody, like you said, bleed on the tracks and really tell you like something specific that feels, that's exciting.
Well, that's one of the reasons why like I'm such a huge fan of Miles Boland. Mm-hmm. They really took that step into super vulnerability, and I kind of compare them to like, it's like Mr. Rogers, but it's a TV show, a kids TV show host, but the hip hop edition. And it's just so like they bleed all over the track every time, and then they take that into the live performance. And they're able to have that super vulnerability on stage, which is something that I have not anywhere close to mastered. I like to be out and just, the MC aspect of it where everything is loud and big. And they are teaching me that you can do that in a small aspect as well. And it becomes even more powerful. So, kind of like Mega Man, I have to master this aspect so I can take that power and grow. What Mega Man quality are we going to see in this record, and where did it come from?
I think, and well, it's funny you said that because I have the tendency to go big too. Like, there's not, I don't know how to do that. How to, like you said, if you have a light on, you have the microphone in front of me, it's like I'm gonna give you the full sales pitch. But I think with this one, the vulnerability and just like, touching on a lot of stuff, like it's easier to hide behind a music video or to make a song where you sound very like strong and very tough, but it's a lot harder to make stuff that is about your real life and there's very little difference between Klokwise as an entertainer or anything like that and Patrick O'Sullivan, me, on this record. There's like that's what I'm trying to say is the two characters are gone. Like, it's just me. And so there's stuff on there about really beating myself up or about having to get sober or about losing love or being disappointed in the world or losing your dreams, or one of those songs, it's like life is never like our dreams, and like that's melancholy, but it's deep, but it's conversational, and like I don't think I ever really would go into that before because I just wanted everybody to have a good time.
No. Well, no, it's true, but on the flip side of that too is because the place that I'm coming out of, and the journey that I'm coming into this point is the other side of that. Is I'm learning to celebrate that I am living my dream. I'm just not living it on that scale
Right.
that I thought it was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
but the dream was to hang out with musicians. The dream was to be
Mm-hmm.
an artist full time. The dream was to have incredible conversations with
Yeah.
people about the most ridiculous of things. I
Mm-hmm.
get to do that every single day. That 12-year-old accomplished his dream. Financially, I'd like to accomplish a lot more.
No, I love it. I
But
just love that we're having such an honest conversation
yeah,
too, about it.
yeah,
Like, I think that's more interesting. Like, for me to watch somebody fall and get up,
yeah.
and that's more interesting than somebody that knows everything.
Word.
You
Exactly,
know.
exactly. So yeah, no, I think that's dope, and I can't wait. Any big shows we got coming up to promote when this
I
record
have an
drops?
album
Or
release party going on downtown Hartford on October 18th with Lee Totten as well, who's a great artist, and a couple other artists. So I'm playing this is like it's like an earlier evening so that people
Mhm.
can anybody can come. It doesn't have to be at 1 a.m. So come by like 7-ish for music to start, and that's at the Brownstone downtown Hartford on October 18th. And it comes out October 19th on streaming.
Nice.
It's called Human on Earth. So it's about being imperfect, and it's about like, what can I change? I'm just a human on Earth. Oh, maybe I can change this. Maybe I can make this a little better. Maybe I can work on myself. Maybe I can be nicer to myself or nicer to others. And so it's about being a human on Earth. And I just couldn't be happier. And I just last thing I will say is I do want to shout out everyone that worked on it, from like Uncle Dave Foreman, who did Silk Sonic, and he did Nipsey Hussle, and he did Bruno Mars. He's an amazing producer. He's a
Mhm.
true friend. He's on a bunch of records. I got Miles Elliott, who is a huge lo-fi jazz artist out here. Asher, I've got Angela Luna sings on it. The Bat Pack is on it, which is my group with Texas, Subspice, Hydro. So I'm sure I forgot someone, but it's a super great album, and lots of great people worked on it. So shout out to everyone.
Shout out to everyone on
That's awesome.
WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston with EZ Blues is in the building. Klokwise is with us again. Number 2 on Behind the Brand. Go ahead, Easy.
I love it. I love it. As you're getting ready, when's the next video drop? Like, when can people start to really, really pay attention to what's going on? Because you say you're bringing this extra, visual
Mm-hmm.
awesomeness to it.
So
So
I'll tell
that's
you
enough.
right here. I'll let it rip. See, this is the first interview I've actually done for this album, so I don't have the terrible like Oscars speech where I'm like telling you the same thing every time. This is the first time I've talked about it, so thanks for having me.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I have the Standing There music video, which is the single I have out now, and people are loving it, and it's doing really well, and people are. As I'm walking down the street, people are going, "Stand there," singing it to me. And so we have the video for this coming out, probably October 14th, 15th, somewhere right before the album. And I can just tell you here, the first people to tell you, it's about space aliens, and I'm an astronaut, and I'm in a spacesuit, and I get in a rocket ship, and I go up to a planet, and then on the planet is aliens, and do they like me? Is it beef? You're gonna have to watch it and find out. And it's super hilarious, and the special effects are really good. Got CG in it, I've got masks in it, loads of actors in it. It's freaking hilarious. So stay
Nice.
tuned and just follow. It's Klokwize, Klokwise, and just follow on everything. You're gonna see a lot. And Standing There is a fun song. It's melancholy, but it's fun. It's about when I fall. I want it to smack me in the face. I want to feel it. I don't want it to have to be difficult.
Right. But see, here's one of the craziest things, though. We always say that, right? But we also want it to smack us in the face, which is difficult.
Mhm.
Right.
As much as we don't want love to be difficult, we truly need love to be difficult, so we
Mhm.
know that it's real and we can feel it. And it is this amazingness that we go through, being an artist and having to be super hypocritical about it, because it's the same thing of even playing live and different things like that. I am a forced extrovert because I love that spotlight, I love that microphone, I love to
Mhm.
get loud and all those different things. But like, if I'm at a party, I'm gonna be sitting in the back corner and just like, hey, if I come to you and talk, we'll have an incredible conversation. But if I don't, just leave me alone because I'm a scared and I just want to be left alone. Is that amazing aspect of that of the artist? How do you manage that? Because it can be very, very overwhelming.
I'm like you where I'm an extrovert when it's something that like I'm passionate about or when it's something
Mm-hmm.
I know about or I can help, like great. But I'm the same way where like it's hard for me to maintain relationships. It's hard for me to always like say a thing and remember the details and that's always hard like but I, I think people can tell you if you're good intention, if you have a good heart. And I know when I go places, like I talk to a lot of people where they can tell if you're a safe person or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't, my whole intentions is not to make money or to like juice off other people or anything. I'm literally just here to like sing this so that it was sung today and it didn't just sit in the nowhere bin of life for the day. Like we got out here, we told people what it was, we made a dent, we sang it like we meant it. That's my goal for the day and maybe catch some good footage. But so people can tell with that. But I have the same thing where like it's really hard for me to always want to go out and like play the social game. And maybe people do really well when they play the social game, maybe that's a huge element of it. Like, but it's got to also just, I hope that good music has legs and that sometimes mystery is okay. When I was a kid, people were more mysterious. Like, I didn't know what Tupac did all day. Like,
Yeah, no
unless he
idea.
was on the news or like, I didn't know what David Bowie thought about.
Right.
That maybe was better.
Well, it's definitely super interesting because you find out it's better, but then it also could be worse in some aspects too, because there's been phenomenal artists out there, and it gets difficult to separate the artist and the art, and
Mhm.
you really do have to try to separate those without being a pushover. We
Mhm.
all know the story, and we've already talked about it off air, so we're not going to talk about it. But it's very important who you are and how you represent. So when that 24-hour news cycle can be totally suffocating,
Mhm.
but it also is that fact of, I say it all the time, we're able to be a lot more controlled now by the bigger masses
Mhm.
because we don't really have heroes anymore because we have that 24-hour news cycle. If people knew that, and I don't pour salt in anyone's hustle. That's just not what I'm saying. But they would have been easily able to spin um, Dr. Martin Luther King's infidelity to take away from his
Wow,
message
that's
back then.
true.
And
Wow.
that sucks. John Lennon wrote Imagine. He was also a horrible human being who beat several wives.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to try to separate that. And that's what I love about Chesky's co-defendant record. They have Brutiful, and Brutiful is your heroes. All our heroes are human,
Mhm.
and that means we can be flawed, and it includes you listening. That includes us singing. We're not
Mhm.
immune.
Mhm.
And that's the beautiful thing. But unfortunately, we're also not immune to the Apollo curtain being pulled upon us and saying that we might be done, but can't wait for chapter 3
Mhm.
of this amazing interview. But right now, Clockwise, man, it's been an honor and a privilege. I love you. We definitely are going to connect and grow more because we've got some cool things going through. Right now, it's your time, man. Tell people how they can connect with you, how they can follow you, how they can invest in you, and how they can watch you grow, and all about this new record. Thank you, brother.
Man, thank you, bro, so much. This is so awesome. And yeah, so shout out if you're already a Clockwise listener and you tuned in. We appreciate you watching. And if not, it's I'm on Spotify, I'm on YouTube, I'm on like anything. Put a search bar in, you just do Klokwize. It's Clockwise, as wrong as you can spell it. And the new album Human on Earth, like you said, about being imperfect, comes
Mhm.
out October 19th. So probably by the time you're hearing this, and definitely a comment. I'm here to be your best friend and to hear what you want to talk about, because as an artist we have to talk about whatever needs talking about. So I would just say let's be friends. That's the investment, is go follow me and tell me what you think about the record.
Nice.
And much love, everyone. Thanks for listening, and keep doing your art if you're out there.
Klokwise, we appreciate you, man. We really do.
Much love. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you.
No doubt. On WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, this has been Behind the Brand.
Tried to holler, she said, what's up with your man right there? With the feather hair, so with the puppy eyes. I looked up like shit, I thought it was a good disguise. I don't always get the girl, people chasing all this fame. I don't always get the world, I've been living in this game with the urgency. There's a few things should be returned to me. But when I fall in love, don't wanna set my standing. I wanna be standing there. Think of you, what isn't true. If you've ever gotten over what I did to you, sometimes I get miserable memories that be stinging you. Would change it if I could, but it sucks, there ain't a thing to do. Just add it to the list of this shit that hurts. Forgiving yourself, apologies in reverse. So many words from moving on. All I did was let the wall down and you were gone. When I fall in love, don't wanna set my standing. I wanna be standing there. When I fall in love, I wanna understand it. And I'll be on another planet, standing there. Sometimes the tears fill up my eyes. I had to leave my baby. Sometimes I see you in a starlit sky, but has she seen me lately? When it's quiet and I wonder who could ever be another you. I wish I would know, so I could give up this ghost. Yeah. When I fall in love, don't wanna set my standing. I wanna be standing there.